never imagined my quiet life would turn into a full-blown suburban war, complete with legal battles, drone surveillance, and an engineering project that would make a Bond villain proud. But when the Homeowners Association decided to steal my driveway, I had no choice but to fight back, in the most dramatic and legally bulletproof way possible. Let me start from the beginning. It all began when I bought a lovely house at the end of a cul-de-sac in the Rose Hill Heights neighborhood. It wasn't a gated community, but it had one of those overreaching HOAs that believed they ruled over every blade of grass. I'm an engineer by trade, structural, with a specialization in automation, and a pretty chill guy. I mind my business. Keep my lawn mowed and don't play loud music. The only problem was my driveway. You see, my house sat on an odd-shaped lot, and the only way to access my garage was via a long, curved driveway that crossed a thin strip of land, technically, adjacent to the HOA's communal greenbelt. But here's the thing. That strip was deeded to me. It was on the plat map, confirmed by the county records. It was mine, legally. For 3 years, no one said a word. Then Karen happened. Karen, with the exact haircut you're imagining, was elected HOA president after the previous one retired to Florida. She was the kind of person who measured grass height with a ruler and issued violation notices for aggressive wind chimes. 3 weeks into her reign of terror, I received a letter from the HOA. It claimed that my driveway was encroaching on HOA common property, and I was required to remove the illegal pavement immediately. Attached was a diagram that looked like a toddler had drawn it during a sugar crash. I laughed it off, assuming it was a clerical error. Then came the cease and desist letter, and then the threats of fines, $100 per day, until I restored the area to its original green space. That's when I knew this wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a power play. I gathered all my documents, deed, plat maps, county surveyor records, and marched into the next HOA meeting. Karen barely let me speak before snapping, "We don't care what your little map says. That land is HOA property, and you're in violation." I handed out copies of the county-verified maps to everyone in the room. A few board members looked surprised, others looked nervous. Karen just sneered. "This isn't about paperwork," she said. "It's about aesthetics. That driveway disrupts the flow of the green belt." So now it wasn't even about ownership. It was about her vision for the neighborhood. I hired a property lawyer, a good one. After a review, he confirmed that I had ironclad ownership of the strip. We sent the HOA a formal notice of ownership and a warning that continued harassment would result in a lawsuit. Karen doubled down. She started a campaign in the neighborhood, calling my driveway a safety hazard, and claimed it would lower property values. She even filed a complaint with the city planning office, who promptly tossed it out once they reviewed the land titles. But she wouldn't stop. Anonymous complaints to the fire department, false claims about code violations, even having her minions dump grass seed near the edges of my driveway to reclaim HOA property. I'd had enough. It was time for a counterstrike. Inspired by a late-night rewatch of a certain medieval fantasy series, I joked to a friend that I should just build a moat to keep the HOA off my land. And then I thought, why not? I consulted my lawyer and a civil engineer buddy. As long as the structure was on my property, didn't divert water runoff to neighbors, and complied with safety codes, it was completely legal. I submitted a landscaping plan to the city, technically a water feature and driveway renovation, and it got approved. Over the next 6 weeks, I hired a team to dig a 3-foot-deep trench along the borders of my driveway, forming a U-shape from the edge of the greenbelt to the base of my garage. We lined it with reinforced concrete, installed a decorative koi pond filtration system, and filled it with water dyed a vivid blue. To the city, it was an ornamental water feature. To me, it was a moat. But I didn't stop there. Using my automation skills, I installed a retractable steel bridge at the front of the driveway. It operated via RFID tags in my car and phone. When I approached, the bridge would lower, allowing me to drive across. Once I passed, it would retract again. I even programmed it with voice activation and a custom greeting. "Welcome, Lord of the Driveway." The day after construction finished, Karen stormed up to the edge of the moat in her tennis visor, shrieking loud enough to scare the koi. "You can't do this. You're making a mockery of this community." I stood on the bridge, smiling like a Disney villain. "I'm just enhancing my landscaping. It's 100% legal. Would you like to see the permits?" She turned red, like blood pressure dangerously high, red. The next week she called in the city inspector again. He showed up, looked around, and laughed. "Honestly," he said, "this is genius." Karen tried to rally the HOA to amend the bylaws to prohibit moats, bridges, or hostile architecture, but they couldn't apply changes retroactively, and with most of the board now wary of a lawsuit, the motion failed. Residents started taking my side. Some even came by just to see the legendary Moat house. A couple kids left thank you cards for the cool drawbridge. Karen's power waned. 3 months later, she was voted out. Apparently, people didn't appreciate her using HOA funds to pay for legal consultations over someone's private property. These days, life is peaceful again. The HOA leaves me alone. The koi are thriving, and I've added LED lighting and a fog machine for maximum drama during evening arrivals, but I didn't stop at the Moat. I also built a fully automated security system with cameras, license plate recognition, and a speaker system that plays medieval trumpets when visitors arrive. Because if you're going to defend your driveway, why not go all the way? Don't mess with an engineer who has time, money, and a healthy grudge. And always read the plat map before you try to steal someone's driveway.